Now in this video, we're going to look at the deep test as we looked at the quick test earlier. Remember, we talked about will my product sell? And we gave examples of somebody who had a hairdressing kind of business and how they would kind of sit down to determine their niche, the market, and then go after that particular group for sale. In this particular lecture, we're going to look at the deep test, and we're going to talk about the field research. This is really going out there and talking to people, or getting on the phone and talking to people, visiting shops, visiting places of work, just really engaging with real life people as much as possible. So the first thing I want to do is to show you some of the key players when it comes to field research. Okay, when you're talking about selling your product or selling a service, there are a few people you have to deal with. There are three groups of people, and broadly speaking, you can put everyone into these three groups. First one is the buyers or payers or buyers, or payers and buyers, or buyers and payers, whichever one you look at it. The second group is the customers, and the third group are the end users. What I'm going to do is to give you two examples that will help to explain and clarify how you're going to do the research and why it's important for you to actually do this research. Okay, if you're selling baby food, the baby is the end user. They're not going to go buy food off the shelf because they don't have any money. Okay, but the customer that is going to actually purchase that product could be the parent. All right. But the buyer or the payer could be the supermarket. The supermarket is going to stock the food, so they are the first set of buyers that you have to deal with. So you're going to have to find out what specifications they want on that product for them to be able to acquire that product and put it on their shelves. Okay, they have their own needs and their predetermined factors that's going to govern whether they actually purchase that baby food from you or not. Then that baby food, having been on the shelf, must appeal to the parent who is now the customer of the supermarket. And then the end user has got to find the food tasty enough so they don't keep spitting it out when the mom gives them the food to eat. So you understand, this is how you then determine whether your product will sell. So how many people can you sell your product to? Have you shown the customers your product? Are they really excited about it? Are the buyers excited about it? I'm going to give an example of a business that we were in. We were in the property business where we used to sell multi-occupancy properties to those who want to build a portfolio of properties. One of the ways that we determine whether we're going to work with you or not is we tell you to give us a deposit of the region of $15,000 if we want us to acquire a property for you. And we used to acquire property that had tenants in it, or will put tenants into those properties because they were buy-to-let properties. Okay, they were multi-occupancy, which means they had a minimum of 2 apartments in them. And also they had tenants in it, or we'll get tenants in there. So we'll put tenants in them, we'll sell it to you, and then we could manage it, or you get someone else to manage it. Let me use these three groups of people to explain how that business worked with us. Okay, the actual end user is the person who actually is going to live in the property. That's the end user. They had certain needs that must be met, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Our customers were the people who actually ended up owning those properties, or the landlords, right? Now, the buyers and payers of the rent were the government agencies. Those government agencies, because of the kind of tenants, we used to have unemployed tenants, or people who have been unemployed for, they used to call them long-term unemployed, because those were the kind of tenants that stayed in the property for a long time so that you never had void period. The payers or the buyers were actually the council. They were the ones who were going to actually pay the rent of the end users. So my clients or my customers were the customers that you see in the middle there, but the buyers or the payers of the rent were the council, and then the end users were the people who actually lived in the property. It sounds a bit complicated, but it's not. you had to satisfy those three people. I got to satisfy my clients by finding them the kind of property that makes money and that has very low void periods in it. I had to satisfy the end user because they wanted a nice, clean property next to amenities and a property that was decent enough. It's not going to have many breakdowns in plumbing work or in the electrics. It's going to be that good for the end user. Now, the buyers or those paying the rent wanted to make sure that it has the right certifications, that you were going to look after the property. You had to meet the needs of those three. Now, it's only when you talk to those three groups you're able to determine what they want and how well your product may sell. Okay? And the knowledge you have of those three will help you succeed in that particular business. Let me give you another example that makes things clearer. Sometimes a business could be supplying the customer and the end user only. So for example, if you're doing consultancy and you're talking to somebody starting a business, for example, like I do, I talk to people starting businesses. So really, I'm talking to the customer and the end user. So I'm trying to find out from them what they're going to want, because they are the customer and the end user. They're the ones paying for and using my services. So they're all three in one, in that one person. But sometimes it's not that way, and you need to talk to all the relevant people that are going to engage with your product so that you can understand what they require and how you're going to fashion your business to meet those needs. It is your ability to meet the needs of all the key players that make your business a success. And you got to research this before you launch your business. You cannot launch your business without researching and understanding these things that I've been talking to you about. If you have any questions, do remember to post or send me questions. I'll try and answer them for you. So I really hope that you got what I tried to explain to you in this particular section. So just to recap now, make sure they're a large enough group that you can sell to. And finally, like I said, they need to have a need, not only a need, ability and the willingness to pay for your product. Those are key things, key ingredients that make sure your business will sell, or your services and products will sell.